Hi there, everyone. Welcome to Be Well Philly Boot Camp. My name is Caroline Cunningham, and I am the editor of Be Well Philly. So I am going to be introducing Dr. Charlie Seltzer. He's board certified in obesity medicine and certified by the American College of Sports Medicine as a clinical exercise physiologist. He's the owner of Dr. Charlie Seltzer Weight Loss, Lifestyle, and Fitness Solutions, which is located right here in Center City. And he teaches his patients the same principles that he used to maintain a 70-pound weight loss over the last 10 years. He's very excited to be here to talk about his favorite subject, which is busting weight loss myths. He welcomes any questions, and please call him Charlie.
Thanks, Caroline. Thanks so much for having me, guys. At any point, just jump in and ask questions if you want. So, a myth is a widely held false belief. And there's so many of them out there, I didn't even really know where to start. But I think that, this is all about, health, right? And, healthy eating and stuff. So I thought we would just start with that. So, what is healthy? When I think healthy, just intuitively, it's salmon and vegetables and whatever. If you think about it a little bit more, we know that excess body fat kills people. So if you're overweight, your likelihood of dying from an illness is a lot higher than if you're not overweight. It's diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease. So I think we should redefine healthy eating as eating in a way that allows you not to be overweight. So we know that in theory, eating a diet of lean protein and vegetables and organic nuts or whatever is going to be good for you. If it's not maintainable and it doesn't allow for you to be lean, or it makes you miserable while you're being lean, then I would say that's not healthy. Whereas if you're able to maintain a very low body fat percentage, be happy, and feel well, then however you're eating to do that is going to be healthy. So we know that the Maasai people in Africa, anyone familiar with them? They're a tribe in Africa. They eat 60% of their calories from saturated fat. There's not a lot of vegetables in the desert. They drink animal blood, they drink animal milk, and eat animal meat. Yet they have no obesity, no cardiovascular disease, no diabetes, and no cancer. They're all very lean. They're South American tribes that don't eat a lot of meat. They eat nuts and berries and stuff, and they don't have any of those chronic illnesses either. It's because they eat things that allow them to be lean. The common denominator amongst all of this is that excess body fat is going to kill people. So I'm not telling you should go eat candy every day. But if you do eat candy every day and you're lean, you will find that you're going to be a lot healthier than somebody who eats in a more healthy way but carries a lot of excess body fat. And you can see it in laboratory work. I think that it's important to look at health not only from how you look and how you feel, but also from the inside, because you can see what your abs look like or what your thighs look like, but you can't see your liver or your kidneys. And I think that it's a good idea to be able to look at blood work. So even though this might sound counterintuitive, if you can check a baseline level of blood work and look at inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein or your insulin level or your blood sugar, and then lose 20 pounds and recheck them, you will find that no matter how you lost those 20 pounds, your numbers are going to look better. And practically, it's really difficult to eat in the way that we all think we should. And I've fallen victim to this too, and it's really hard. I have 2 kids, I work really hard, and when I get home at 8 o'clock at night and fold the laundry and make their lunches, I don't want to prep 5 meals for the next day. Maybe I can do it for a day or a week maybe, but it's not going to be a long-term solution. The problem is, once I'm at my end, I'm like, well, screw it, I'm going to go eat McDonald's and I don't really care, because that's how frustrating this can be. I think it's a good idea to try to eat in a healthy way, but not at the expense of your sanity or your life. So what we tell everybody is what works is what's going to be what works for you, and that is what allows you to change as little as possible from what you're currently doing. So let's take everyone out here. Anyone here want to lose weight? A couple pounds? I want to lose a couple pounds. That's fantastic, right? The less you change, the more likely you are to succeed. Let's say I told everyone out there, just raised their hand, who wanted to lose weight, to go out, do whatever they wanted. Don't change anything. Just go do your thing. Your chance of success is 100%. Everybody can do that. Now, if I tell you, make one tiny little tweak, your chance of success is still really high. Now, if I tell you, I want you to stop doing what you're doing, tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up and you're going to eat in a macro, vegan, paleo, whatever style you want, And go do that for the rest of your life. Your chances of success go down tremendously. People want a plan. They want to be told what to do. And the problem with that is life gets in the way. You can be on a plan that involves a non-processed food diet or something, but then you go to the movies. You're like, well, I like popcorn. I want to have popcorn. Well, screw it. I'll just start again tomorrow. So getting a realistic expectation of what's going to happen in the real world versus what is ideal in your mind, I think is really important. So when somebody comes into our office, we say, don't change anything. Give us some data. Let's look at 2 weeks of your lifestyle. And there's going to be a party. There's a work conference. There's always something like that. There's a wedding. There's a bar mitzvah. There's a vacation. And if you can learn how to deal with it and do the proper habits in the beginning, you're going to be a lot better off. And then those types of things don't have to be stresses for you. Like, I used to get really bent out of shape when I knew I had to go to a party or a wedding and I wasn't going to know what was going to be there. I'm like, is there going to be a grilled chicken breast on the menu? Or is there going to be a choice between fettuccine Alfredo and a steak with béarnaise sauce? And now I don't have to worry about that because I know how to navigate. Once you get that data, then you can go back and look and you can see, okay, over the last 2 weeks, this is what I did. I had a work dinner here. I did this. I did that. And it tells you not only how many calories a day you're consuming, which ultimately ends up being the deciding factor in whether you lose weight or not, but also lets you look at your habits. If you like to eat at night, it's ridiculous to think you're going to wake up one morning and stop eating past 6 o'clock. Like, it's just not going to happen. So if you can actually take the time and look at your patterns and your habits and then change as little as humanly possible to get your calories down, if that's your goal to lose weight, you're going to end up being healthier. If you have that on permanent lockdown, then maybe you can go over and look at more healthy, non-processed foods, which I think is a really good idea. And it's wonderful. And if I had a private chef to follow me around, I would never eat anything processed. But I don't have that luxury. And I think most people out there don't either. So taking a realistic approach, I think, is a really good idea. It's why when I thought about myths, I think any fad diet out there is probably a myth because they don't work. And when we talk about work, a nutrition plan or a diet works if it allows you to stay lean and happy over the long run. Like, I keep throwing happy in there because if you're lean and miserable, then you lose anyway. And I think that anybody, given the choice, would rather be lean than be overweight. If you can do it with a little bit of work, I think most people can do it. The work required to be lean is not the same kind of work that most people think it is. Most people think that you need to have willpower. You need to be able to go out and be able to say, okay, I'm not going to eat that. I'm going to have a salad when my friends are eating steak or whatever. And that's not really the work that I think is involved in staying lean permanently. It's tracking your food. If you can track your food, you can have the data that you can then analyze to go back and make it better. I tell everybody, take 2 weeks. Go get MyFitnessPal out. Don't change anything. Just go put your stuff in. If you're out to dinner and you have a bite of someone's food, take a guess. It's fine. Because whether you misestimate whether there's 50 calories or 60 calories in the bite of Oysters Rockefeller you had doesn't really matter. What most people get into trouble by doing is saying, well, I already had some Oysters Rockefeller. Let me go home and have 2 pints of Ben & Jerry's. The misestimates don't matter that much when your patterns are good. Does that make sense? So, Whole30, great in theory. Changing your habits that drastically and then trying to transition back into real life is very, very difficult. And on paper, it works magically. And on paper, you could lock someone in a room and feed them 500 calories per day, sustain a massive weight loss, and then slowly reintroduce calories back to allow their metabolism to catch up to where it was before and stay lean. The problem is, in real life, when somebody does a 500 calorie per day diet for 3 months and then hits their goal weight, they're not going to have 4 ounces of wine and 3 gummy bears. They're going to have 2 bottles of wine and 2 pizzas and 2 bags of gummy bears and say, oh, I'll start tomorrow. So I think really being realistic about it, I think, is the most important thing. And the pervasive myths that go on now are that these things are not realistic. They work in theory, and the pitches are great, and the marketing is great. And even I'm still will look at something and say, wow, that looks really cool. And then I smack myself and say, wait a second, that's never going to work. How many of you guys are familiar with intermittent fasting? What do you guys think of it? Because I like it. I'm a fan. When you look at most people's natural tendencies, people like to eat at night. They like to sit down when the kids are asleep, have a glass of wine or a beer or whatever you do to relax, put the TV on, and have food. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, provided that you plan for it. So a lot of people that we see will come in and they'll say, yeah, I eat a really good breakfast while I'm trying to get my kids off to school, and then I eat lunch because I'm supposed to, and while I'm answering emails. And from a satiety standpoint or satisfaction, you never even realize you're doing it. You're getting it down because you're supposed to, but you're doing 9,000 other things. You're not allowed to sit in the moment, and enjoy your food. I would say those people might be better off by not eating that much during the day. I do think it's a good idea to evenly distribute protein out throughout the day. So drinking a protein shake at your desk is probably not going to leave you any less satisfied than trying to wolf down a sandwich in between conference calls. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But I think that most people will agree with that. If you can save those calories for nighttime when you're relaxed and you can be mindful and plan for it, you're not doing a lot better in the long run. And then the cravings, incidentally, go down. You don't have to worry about the jelly beans at the office jelly bean bowl if you know you're going to be able to go home and have 70 jelly beans. So just changing the mindset about what's healthy and what's not, I think can be really, really valuable. And any plan that has you eating a certain strict way is probably going to break down in the long run. And what we're talking about here is probabilities and odds. Like, who plays poker out there? You make bets in poker based on probability. You're not going to win every bet, but the goal is over 100 bets, how much money you're going to make. So if you take 100 people and put them all on Atkins or HCG, people are going to succeed. A couple people are going to succeed, maybe 1 or 2 out of the 100. And those people are going to say Atkins is great. And when you extrapolate that to the entire US population, there's a lot of people who do really well with Atkins. The problem is, from an odds standpoint, if you try it, you're not going to do well. So I like the idea of starting with something that gives you the highest probability of working. And the thing that has the highest probability of working is what you're doing now. If you're overweight, obviously something has to change, but the idea of making a 180-degree turn overnight just doesn't seem right. If you get a dent in your car, you don't get a new car. You pound out the dent or get it painted. If you find that your lifestyle or your eating habits are not allowing you to get where you need to be, you need to evaluate them the same way you get your car looked at, or the same way you go to the dentist to get your teeth looked at, and then figure out what you can change in the most economical way possible, in the sense of what impacts your lifestyle as little as possible. And if you can do that, you'll be successful. Again, there's no free lunch, and you have to do work. It's just not the kind of work that people think. Again, if you can track your food and get data, you'll be able to analyze that and go back, and you'll get the freedom to eat whatever you want. How are we on time? We're good. Does all this make sense? And again, getting bogged down in the details of MyFitnessPal is not a good idea, in the sense that you can absolutely go crazy. If you put an egg on MyFitnessPal, you're going to see 9,000 choices of egg. Just put one down and forget about it. The idea here is just to get something down, so you have some sort of baseline. Are you eating 1,500 calories a day? Are you eating 5,000 calories per day? Whether you're eating 1,500 calories per day or 1,600 calories per day is not really relevant, probably, when you look at your overall patterns. And this doesn't just go for weight loss. It goes for building muscle, it goes for optimizing body composition, and it goes for having a better relationship with food. Look, at least in my mind, food is a reward. I used to weigh 240 pounds, and I've tried to convince myself more times than I can remember that food is just a fuel for my body. I'm not going to have any sort of emotional connection with food. That breaks down. I do have emotional connection with food. I like to go home and enjoy my jelly beans, or go out to dinner and have oysters and French onion soup. Accepting that and then working from that has allowed me to be successful in the long run with weight loss, even though I don't eat the way a nutritionist might want me to eat in the real world, because I've tried that and I can't do it. And if you can do it, great. And I would encourage you to try if you can, but also to be realistic about what's practical and what's not practical. Everyone still with me? What other myths we got out there? How about eating at night? I think we covered that a little bit. There's a really good study that looked at 2 groups of people over a 6-month period. One group got fed all of their carbohydrates in the morning, and the other group got all their carbohydrates at night. Who lost more weight? Carbs at night group lost more weight, and also had improved insulin sensitivity, incidentally. Now, one study doesn't a theory make, but we know that calorie balance is the ultimate decider in whether somebody loses weight or not. And if you're trying to front load your calories because that's what you think you're supposed to do, I'm fine with that as long as you can do it. But if you're failing every third day, then trying to go back, you can't ever see if it's working or not. And I would argue it's not working just because you're not able to do it. In order to be able to know if something's working or not, you have to be able to do it. Exercise does not cause weight loss for the vast majority of people. Everyone, very counterintuitive to me, and it took me 10 years to accept it. But it's true. And it's cool the way it works. If you're a science geek like I am, it's wild. So somebody who fidgets, moves their foot like that all day, if they exercise in the morning, they will subconsciously not do that anymore throughout the day. Somebody who works on the second floor of an office building, who normally takes the steps, if they start exercising, they will subconsciously start taking the elevator. If you're used to going to the bathroom every 10 or 15 minutes just to walk around, if you exercise, you're going to sit at your desk and hold it in until the absolute last minute and only go once or twice. All of those little things don't make a giant difference in isolation, but when you look at them together, you basically save all those calories that you just spent working out. Now, working out is a really good idea. It's great for health. It's great for insulin sensitivity. It's great for everything, and optimizing your body composition. This isn't really about weight loss, right? It's about losing fat and building muscle or looking toned. And to do that, you do need to exercise, or most people need to exercise, but it's not a prerequisite for weight loss. So people who are spending an hour on the treadmill, who maybe burn, 500 calories, if they just sat there for that hour, they'd burn 100, just sitting on the couch, and then they're going to make up those calories subconsciously. When you get into the high-intensity interval training type of stuff, you do get a more potent fat loss over time, and it's minimal on a day-to-day basis, but patterns are important, and over time it does build up, and that can help you lose weight if you don't have that adaptive mechanism where you'll subconsciously conserve energy. And the way to know is by tracking your food. If you weigh yourself every morning and track your food and introduce exercise, you can look at the rate of your weight loss against what your calories are. And if you notice that your weight is moving faster than it was before, then you are probably responding to exercise with weight loss. Most people aren't going to. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It means that calories should always, whether you respond or not, dictate the rate of weight loss. If you find that you're losing weight too fast, which I would say is more than a pound or two of body fat per week, bring your calories up. It'll increase your likelihood of compliance. Again, real world versus fantasy land. The more food you eat, the less likely you are to go over that calorie number. So once you find out what that is, your goal for exercise should be to get stronger and faster. Well, first to enjoy it, because if you're not going to enjoy it, you probably should still do it anyway. But there's enough different kinds of exercise out there that most people can find something they can at least tolerate. So exercise, and then use your calorie numbers to figure out what you need to do to sustain that 1 to 2 pound of weight loss. Another myth out there is that you can lose 30 pounds of fat in a month. And they don't actually say 30 pounds of fat. They'll say lose 30 pounds in a month or lose 10 pounds over 14 days. A pound of fat stores about 3,500 calories. It's physiologically impossible to lose a significant amount of body fat overnight. So when you're weighing yourself every day, it's important to know that fluid shifts, the last time you went to the bathroom, when you ate sushi last, what time you woke up, where you are in your menstrual cycle if you're a woman, are all going to dictate what your weight is. So the idea of weighing yourself every day allows you to get a real rolling average of what happens and tease out those variables. If you look at somebody's weight trend over the course of a week, you're going to see this. But when you look at it over months, you're going to see that. And that's what you want to see. And there's nothing theoretically wrong with trying for a rapid weight loss and then building yourself back up afterward. In practice, it just doesn't work for the vast majority of people. So accepting the fact that you're going to lose a pound of fat a week, which is a lot. 50 pounds of fat over a year is a lot, especially if you're still drinking alcohol and going out to dinner and doing the things you like to do. So having that little bit of patience can be a really good thing. If you can do that and accept the fact that fat loss is slow and that anybody who says you're going to be able to lose 10 pounds of body fat over a week or two is lying, then you can get a step ahead. And when you see those pictures, you see like the HCG pictures, it'll say day 1, day 90. They never show you day 120 or 180 because they're right back to where they were before, if not worse. When you get into a severe calorie restriction, you will lose muscle in addition to body fat. When you gain that weight back, most of it's body fat. So you could theoretically end up at the same weight 6 months after a crash diet, but have less muscle and more body fat and thus be less healthy. What do you guys think? Make sense, right? Common sense. Like when I look at this, like it doesn't seem that hard. It's just not what's out there. And it took me, I still struggle. I still see infomercials. I'm like, wow, that skinny lollipop gonna help me not snack? No. Incidentally, who's familiar with the Kardashian lollipop? With Kim's lollipop? Yep, I am. So there's this lollipop that Kim is promoting that has an ingredient in it called satyryl, which is a saffron extract, that was shown in a study to decrease snacking. Now, Kim is saying she sucks on 2 of these lollipops per day and she's lost weight. If you take a 35-calorie lollipop and eat that over the course of 2 hours, instead of having 2 bags of potato chips and a bag of Skittles and a Coke, you're going to lose weight. If you're sucking on a lollipop, you're not able to eat other things. That in and of itself is great. When you look at the price tag of that thing, a Dum Dum is probably going to do the same thing and is considerably cheaper. If you're interested in the supplemental role, or the role of supplements in weight loss, they're all going to be subtle, but they're not all without value. And there's a website called examine.com, which is, if you go over to my booth, I can give you the link for it, that does independent scientific reviews of supplements to see if there's any actual research behind it. We know that a lot of people eat because they're stressed and they're tired. There are a couple supplements out there like rhodiola and ashwagandha, which can make you less stressed and can make you more energized. If you're less tired and less stressed and more calm, you're less likely to overeat. You're less likely to go for the Swedish fish. Not that there's anything wrong with that as long as you track it. So I think that there's roles for everything. It just has to be in the context of an overall common sense plan. And that plan for everyone, no matter what it is, should be look at what you're doing now and don't change any more than you have to get lean. And if you don't believe it or you're one of those outliers, just check your labs, check your cholesterol now. Check it again in 3 months and see if eating cheeseburgers and bacon and candy doesn't make your cholesterol better if you lose a significant amount of body fat. Every once in a while it happens and somebody won't. But again, you look at that 100 people, 95 of them are going to do significantly better with weight loss no matter what they do to get there, provided that it's healthy. You don't want to do anything stupid, on either end. So I think, any questions? All right. We're over there at, actually, I'm going to want to do a drill here. Everyone's got their phones? I'm going to give you my cell phone number. I want to ask you a question, and text me 1 if you think it's true and 2 if it's false. All right. There are less calories in Cheesecake Factory steak than in the Thai lettuce wraps. 1 if it's true, 2 if it's false. There are less calories in the steak dinner than there are in the normal menu. 609-792-1624. It's actually my real phone, not my burner, so 609-792-1624. All right. Number 1, if you think there are less calories in the Thai lettuce wraps than there are in the steak dinner. The other way around, what she said.
It's less if there's less calories in the steak then.
Number 1, if there's less calories in the steak than there are in the Thai lettuce wraps. We're going to add them up. We're going to see what people think. You might be able to tell just by the way I asked the question, but I think it's a useful exercise. When you go out to dinner, look at the menu. See what's on there. See what you like to eat. Once you know where you're going, or once I know where I'm going, I get on the menu. I say, let me see what I want to eat, knowing what my total caloric values are for the day, and then I work backward from there. So I'm not stuck after eating something that I didn't really care about that was 600 calories for lunch and saying, well, shoot, I'm stuck now. I have to not get the French onion soup and the bacon cheeseburger. But even if I do, after I've done the 600 calories, I'm still going to put it in, I'm going to track it. And you see over time that going 100 calories over your goal is very different than going 1,000 calories over your goal, which also gets lost on people. People tend to think they're either on or they're off. And that's just not true. If you look at this more as a long-term damage control situation versus being perfect or being off the rails, I think that you'll do a lot better. At least you'll stay more sane, even if you don't lose any weight. Thanks so much, guys.